So financial education is one of my favorite subjects. And I think sometimes people make it bigger than it is. You just simply need to start in the beginning with telling your money what to do. So setting a budget. You know how much money you're going to make this particular week, this particular month. And you know what bills are going to come in. So truly setting a budget and telling every dollar where it's going to go before it just tells you where it's going to go. When you're setting your budget, it's really important to think about all of your bills. But we also say it's important to save. I'm going to tell you from my background as well as give. Tithe. If you don't go to church, then just give to your community, right? The 10-10-80 rule. And so the first 10% of everything you make should be set aside in your savings. The second 10% should be given away, and you live on the last 80%. And so when you're putting your budget together, you want to put it together on that 80%. But remember, make sure you do those first two. The more you automate it, the easier it is. So when you're setting aside and you're setting your budget and you're doing that first 10% of yours, often people say, what do I do with that? Do I just put it in the savings account here at the credit union? Yes, part of it is there, absolutely. But part of that 10% is what you're probably already saving some, you should be, with your employer, your 401k or your retirement plan or whatever it is. So don't forget about that. That's part of that 10-10-80 that we talk about. So when you're setting your budget, Dave Ramsey talks about one of the very first things you need to do is make an emergency fund. Set aside so much money that's meant for emergencies. So if you don't have money set aside, then often Murphy shows up, either in way of flat tire, you drop your phone in the pool, washer and dryer goes out, whatever it might be. So putting enough money aside, it's just $1,000 for that emergency that shows up. We often tell people, put it in a different account, set it aside, be able to designate it, even name it if you can, emergency fund. So different steps when you're budgeting and creating what you want your long-term plan to be is setting aside that $1,000, creating your emergency fund, and then you need to start setting aside enough money to have the next 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. So when life happens to you, something happens, you lose your job, whatever that might be, you have enough money saved that's accessible that you could pay your bills, all of your bills, for 3 to 6 months. That takes away the pressure, the worry, what if something happens? So that's what you want to start with your 10-10-80. You start setting aside enough money to have your emergency fund, and then you want to grow it to that 3 to 6 months worth of all of your living expenses. So if something were to happen, you'd be able to pay your bills. So from a savings perspective, that first step is put aside that $1,000. The next step is now set aside that 3 to 6 months worth of all of your expenses. And then once you've got that, now you need to start building and thinking long term. And so one day you want to retire. You don't want to have to work till you're 99. And so setting aside that money for retirement. The sooner you start, the more money you're going to earn and make over time. So as soon as you can, get that $1,000, then get that 3 to 6 months, and now start stashing money to be able to truly retire. You want to do that through your 401k at work. If you don't have access to that, then you want to come to a place that can give you access to long-term retirement investing options. Here at the credit union, we have that. Just come and ask anybody. We'll be happy to help you explain, get you set up with an advisor from that perspective so that you can start planning for long-term. And you're going to set aside so much money every month, and you're just not going to touch it. You're going to forget about it so that when you do want to retire, all that money's there for you to have fun. You can travel or just hang out with your grandkids or whatever your desires are for what retirement looks like for you. So if you have questions or want to talk to somebody about short-term, mid-term, long-term, give us a call. Remember, we want to care for you like family, and we're going to give you all that information just like we would our family member. We can talk about short-term, we can talk about your emergency savings and how you even get there, and we'll celebrate it with you. We can talk about how do you get that 3 to 6 months and where you need to put it, where it needs to be housed, as well as the long-term. We'll be able to get you in contact with somebody that can really help you long-term plan for that retirement. So just give us a call or stop by one of our branches or send us a message. We'll be happy to help you in any way we can.